All right, Pat. I sent you the invite, Pat. Come on, get in here. I know you could do it. I see you're watching. You didn't get the invite? Please tell me you got the invite. It doesn't say you can wave. What up, Jay? What's up, Sveta? How are you? Pat, get in here, baby. Come on. Allow your guests to request to join you. Wait, what is? Yes. Sent you another one. You can do it for you. There he
All
is.
right.
Okay. Okay, there we go.
Good grief.
Oh, they're doing the rotate thing again. All right. Hold on. What's up, buddy? How are
I
you?
did get I did get your request, but
Yeah.
they wouldn't go through. It kept saying rotate your phone.
Yeah, yeah. They make this a little bit more difficult than it really needs to be. You know what I mean?
Every time.
Yeah, yeah. It's good if when you're out at the club or something like that. But I guess for conversations like this, maybe it's not the best method. But for the meantime, how are you? How you been? I'm sorry it took me so long to get around to do this with you. I know I was supposed to for a while, but my insomnia has been interesting lately. So how's everything on your end? What up,
It's
Mark?
all right,
What
brother.
up, Patty?
It's been busy. It's been busy anyway, so I don't even have time to think about much. So
Right, right. So what kind of what do you want to get into tonight here? So much to talk about, isn't there?
there's too much. We might as well delve into the metaphysical because reality doesn't seem to exist anymore.
Yeah, it's
It's kind
kind
of
of
where I'm at in
strange.
my.
Right, it's kind of strange. Interestingly enough, the oldest people seem to know about this stuff, and the modern scientists are just catching up now. Isn't that kind of funny?
Which
You know what I
part?
mean? I guess the modern science is catching up to these like tetrahedron statues that they have under like China lion Chinese statues in China and shit like that. You know what I'm talking about? With like the paws on them and everything like that. Those are
Hmm.
like quantum physics particle type shits. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Or like the pyramids of Giza all lining up to Orion's belt to scale.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of
You know things.
true. I wonder what they did with the capstones. I'm pretty sure they were made out of gold, supposedly. That's a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, who made let's check the Vatican.
Yeah, they probably got everything down there. No, that would actually be my number one. Like, if I could have like one request, I would totally. I would go to the Vatican first, but I also have this wild fantasy of like going into like Area 51 and just doing a live stream like this. Like, listen, I'm like one of those you can tell me but kill me type of people. I'd absolutely let them kill me as long as they let me live stream while I was down there in Area 51. Like, look, dude, I wasn't kidding. You know what I mean? They probably wouldn't go for that, but hey, boy can dream, can't I?
No, so you name it. What do you want to talk about?
Don't really matter to me. I just like to talk in general. I guess something for all the Trump supporters out there. I'm just kind of curious as to what's really changed since he's been in office. The other day, I paid $12 for 3 slices of pizza and a bottle of water. I'm not sure what this difference. Again, I don't hate the guy or anything like that, but I'm not really sure where all this amazing stuff he's doing is happening. My life's exactly the same. You know?
Yeah. Um, so what do you suppose that's about?
What do you mean?
I mean, like, you find that, see, you're a voluntarianist,
Yeah.
which you have troubles, I'm assuming, from time to time explaining what that is to a lot of people,
Yeah. Wait, you don't want to be violent when you. Yeah, exactly. Like what? No violence? Yeah. You know?
right? So what do you think the goal of whatever is happening is for?
You mean like the long term goal, or you mean like Donald Trump's goal, or something like that?
Either or, both.
I
Take
think
Donald Trump's first and then go long term.
I think the long term goal is basically to enslave all of humanity in a soft form of slavery, because most people seem to think that because I can go up the block and get a font of soda that they're not enslaved. Problem is, we run out of money. Well, paints a different picture. It's just a soft form of slavery. You know what I mean? It's not like a guy with a whip above you now. It's just that, like, now you go to the store and get ice cream, but it's just done differently. So I think their ultimate goal is to basically enslave the population and maybe like mutilate half of us or something like that. As the laws become tighter and tighter around you.
Yeah, but slavery has already happened. Brian Young did a video with a cop,
Yeah, he's great.
pretty much, and pretty much owned the cop because of, we talk about cognitive dissonance, right?
Yeah,
explain that. Where does that come from, and why can't people see? Like when I have a conversation with somebody, it's not like you popped out of your mom and went, "Oh, I'm an anarchist,"
Yeah,
right?
I might have. No, fair enough.
It's it's something that you evolved into, right?
Yeah, my case is a slightly different, but yeah, I definitely when I was younger, I never like believed in government or anything. I just recognized we were constantly under duress, and as I've gotten older, people seem to like to pick and choose the type of slavery that they like, as if it really makes a difference. To me, I don't really see any difference between the Democrats and Republicans. Just on paper, that one puts on a better show than the other, but it's the same thing. What's it called? As far as anarchy goes, though, I just like logical consistency just doesn't stack up when you start asking questions. I always ask, like, do we have to? Oh, he's taking his clothes off. Somebody requested me to do
Yeah,
that. So,
it's getting on here, buddy.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, go ahead. What were we saying?
3 for a loop.
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit. Somebody, I get people make fun of me a lot. They're like, oh, take your shirt off and shit, which I have no intentions of doing. Uh, but anyway, well, as far as anarchy goes, I just think, oh, cognitive dissonance. That's what you brought up. I think it's that people just can't admit that they've been like fooled or duped or something like that. I'm not really sure why that is, but the same thing. Like I was just having an argument with one of my friends, trying to tell me that like back in the day, like Mario was better than Sonic, except during that like 16-bit video game revolution. Clearly, one was superior to the other. Most people just don't want to admit it because their vested interests were with Mario with Nintendo. And like, oh, the new one's not as cool, even though it totally was. And people just don't like to admit they cling on to belief systems and stuff like that.
Yeah, but when you enter into a conversation with somebody, I know you well enough to know that you approach it as if they have something to teach you.
Sure.
You want to learn something.
Always, yeah.
So, and I'm the same way, but why do you think it is that people don't have that end goal in mind
Um,
during conversation?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with their childhood and just kind of like seeing the world one way, and I've always been, it being viewing things that way. And then to, I guess, have somebody like me or you come along and really be like, hey, have you ever, looked at things from this angle? And no one ever really seems to do that. I think I mention this to people a lot, but I wish like when I was younger, there was like a guy like me in my neighborhood running around being like, hey, you ever think they were lying to us about all this? Because nobody did that. I had to figure everything out on my own with the help of people and friends along the way. But it's not like, I just go up to strangers like, hey, ever, think that they're lying to us about stuff? Like, well, what do you mean? We're like, the whole thing, meaning of life, what we're doing here, how humans evolved and were created and all that stuff. And like, you're a real character. I'm like, I guess, I don't know. I just think about stuff. But, I don't know. I just think maybe that, like I said, people just kind of cling to, ancient belief systems. It's been going on since the dawn of man. You ever try to talk someone out of their religion? Like, hey, you just go up to them and be like, hey, you ever think all that is bullshit? See what happens. They'll fucking fight you. Like, my belief system isn't I never had that. I was never that way.
But we're all on this rock together. Where do you think you're going? This nation is divided 40-40-20.
Right.
Like 40 Republican, 40 Democrat, and then you got 20% that are kind of independent,
Yeah.
that
100%.
kind of see through the narrative of both sides as BS.
Yeah.
It's not like we were getting any better than we were 50 years ago, right?
No, absolutely not. That's one of the main things. I'm always like, hey, voters, like, ask your grandparents, did things get better or worse while you voted? And your grandparents will tell you everything just got worse. So then ask your parents, well, since you guys have been voting this whole time, did things get better or did they get worse? Guess what? Everything gets worse. Yet for some reason, all these Democrats and Republicans think, as long as we just get the right guy in there, the Bernie Sanders is going to save the day, or something like that. And things consistently get worse and worse. Like I mentioned before, $12 for 3 slices of pizza and a bottle of water. I didn't even have any toppings on the pizza. Yet
Right.
Donald Trump is just this glorious leader that's everything's great now. And I don't know. To me, it seems exactly the same, except these people argue about different things in the news. But nothing's changed. Nothing would have changed if
Right.
Hillary or Obama or whatever.
Lindsay Rose says, "You talking politics? What do you want to talk about?"
Well,
It all comes back to politics.
you're my intellectual superior, and you took your shirt off, so you decide.
I said metaphysics because nothing's real anymore. You can't talk to nobody. Look, here's the thing. You can sit here and say the left is known for their tolerance and open-mindedness, right?
Yeah, except yeah.
Until you approach them with something that they disagree with.
Right. So there is no tolerance. They're just tolerant.
So there is,
I believe what I
but you'll
believe. Okay, that's how
but you'll
everyone is.
never have to be admitted. That'll never be admitted.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. There's no point in talking politics. Talk metaphysics. Talk about.
Well, that's the stuff I'm into. I'm not really into politics. I was when I was like,
Yeah, me neither.
was that?
I said me either. So metaphysically speaking, where are we going on this thing? I mean, where do you think this whole thing's going? You see the progression of everything that's happened in the last 20 years.
I like to look at things at the individual level. I think like it's really up to each and every one of us to expand our horizons of the way we view things and the way we like look at things and take in information. I don't really see, even though like it is a collective, I don't really see things collectively. You know, I kind of just try to educate myself and basically and enlighten people around me or whatever you would call that. And because again, it's really up to each individual to do this. So as far as the collective goes, I don't really like look at it from the long like the long point of view. I don't think the future looks very good, though. I'll say that. As far as like nothing's gotten better. Everybody said Donald Trump was going to save the day. I really don't see what the difference is. Again, that doesn't mean I hate Donald Trump or anything. I just don't really see how he's changed. How the country's great again or whatever you want to call it. But so like I said, I keep doing research and learning more. I've been working hard. Like I said, I have all this material that I'm trying to put into joke form and I guess like spit it out while I do stand-ups in the meantime. And that's what I'm up to. Again, I think it's up to each and every one of us. So that I guess that's how I look at that. About you?
But where are we going? Where are we going on this rock? What's the point of it all?
I guess I think the meaning of life is to find meaning, the meaning. I think it's just like something I said a long time ago that I kind of like is that like if you want to have like a godly experience or whatever you'd call that, stare mystery in the face. Like I just keep looking into stuff and it gets more and more ridiculous. Like one of my favorite ones that I found was when you can find these like ancient like not statues but like little mini statue toy like things of human beings riding dinosaurs. Now, that doesn't mean that I think humans wrote dinosaurs for all the people who like, look what he said. It's not what I mean. What I mean is something is up. They're totally lying to us about something. Like in, what was it? I think Kemet, Egypt, is that right? Where they have the helicopter and the submarine and the fucking plane like carved in hieroglyphs. Clearly they're lying about something. I think it's our history to keep us dumb in order to keep us, subservient and everything like that. But that's an awfully broad question. And I don't appreciate you calling it a rock either, Pat, because there's a lot of flat earth people out there. They think it's a disc, and that's biased. So you better reword that, all right? Or I'm not going to do this with you anymore, you fucking jerk.
Well, this is the insanity of where we're at.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we can play extreme relativist and say you don't know anything and I don't know anything and we can't prove it.
Right. Well, that is one way to look at it, but that's more of like a nihilistic point of view.
Very nihilistic.
Yeah. Well, I look at it like this. It's funny you brought that up. That's synchronistic, actually, because the next joke that I'm going to do, I'm actually going to diss Friedrich Nietzsche. Not in a bad way, because the guy was clearly a genius, but just because I'm a sarcastic dick, I have a couple of really good shots at him, and it actually has a lot to do with that, which is kind of funny. But think about it like this: why would whatever created everything go to all this trouble for no reason? To me, that thing alone just disproves all of nihilism. It's just like, yeah, why go to all this trouble for no reason at all? It makes no sense.
Right.
So that's that's how I look at that, I guess. What do you think?
The same way. We're gonna agree on a lot of the same things, man.
Yeah.
It's just it's really difficult to have certain conversations with certain people because, well, take for instance, it doesn't matter what it is, but take for instance anything that someone disagrees with you on. Typically, it happens to the left of center people. They either become really emotional, and start calling you names, or they go, well, I don't believe that, and I'm not going down that rabbit hole with you. Well, where do we expect to get with anything? I made the comment a couple of weeks ago about why can't we just take one day a week and every channel that we're all addicted to because we all need to be entertained, that whole day we just discuss one topic, whether it be flat Earth or vaccinations or 9/11, and everybody get experts on every side and hash it out. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, actually, you know what's funny? I've been saying to the anarchist community in general is that, you know, everybody's fighting with everyone, arguing all the time, talking about this and that. Why don't people start debating more? The only people I ever really see debating are like Larkin Rose and a handful of other people. Like, you know, there's so many people involved in it. Like, why aren't we all debating? I want to debate people left and right. I just don't think people want to debate me left to right because I'm kind of ridiculous. But it's just the point that, like, you know, I think more people should start doing that and really start making their voices heard. I'm trying to get, you know, people locally in my community involved. I got a couple friends that you know, they say they'd come on live chat with me and talk about this type of stuff because, again, Washington isn't going to do anything. It's just a show. You know, like Shakespeare said, all the world is a stage. It's just a show. They're not going to do anything. They have us right where they want us. So it's up to, you know, guys like me and you to just kind of, like, you know, talk to the people around us and be like, hey, I don't know if I like what's going on here. Like, can't we just, you know, do things differently? You know,
Do things differently.
my catchphrase, you know?
I know it is. It's good. I like it.
Even a caveman could understand it because it's that simple. If we didn't, like, if we want things to be different, all we have to do is behave differently and things would change that way. You know, it's just the idea,
Right.
like, you want to get buff, you should probably start working out. You know what I'm saying? It's just like people don't change their behavior, and it has to do with the cognitive dissonance thing. Like, I don't want to change. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, for example, when I started learning all this stuff, I practically had to relearn how to read because it'd been so long since I read a book or anything like that that I really had to sit there and, like, fucking, oh man, this really sucks. But I did it, and now I can read again, or better than I could. But you see what I mean? Like, it's just a matter of willpower, and people don't seem to have a lot of willpower. You know?
Well, it goes back to aren't like self-help books bestsellers constantly?
Yeah.
Constantly?
George Carlin took care of that. He's just like, like, you ever heard the stand-up George Carlin did, where he's just like, if you need self-help,
Yeah,
don't you read a book written by somebody else? That isn't self-help.
right.
Help. I love that man. God, he's so right. I think the same way. That's help. Like, what do you, you know? Sorry, I fucking love that too.
The thing of it is we're never gonna say we're right, quote quote, right? I'm open to being wrong.
Sure.
Let's just have a conversation about what that really is.
Actually, just not to cut you off, but one of the things I actually hope I'm wrong about is the flat Earth thing. Personally, I think the Earth is round, but I really hope that it's flat. I think that'd be really cool if I, like, died and they were like, "Yeah, it actually was flat." I'd be like, "Really? You fucking got me." You know, I hope it is. I always just like to be a dick though to the flat Earth people. They're like, "Oh yeah, the Earth's flat." Well, how do you explain those mountains? You know, yeah, or the Mariana Trench or whatever. That's, you know, but but yeah, like, I'm totally open to being wrong about all sorts of things. It's just I can keep questioning people to the point they get uncomfortable and run away, and that's what makes me think that I'm right about these things. Because no one's gonna do that to me. No one's gonna, like, you know, like, I got you, Justin. I'm like, oh, oh. I'll just be like, oh shit, I never thought of it that way. Shit, we're in trouble. You know?
Right.
Yeah. So
But it doesn't really matter what topic though either because you read a lot, I read a lot, we research a lot. But take something like let's go down the vaccine road,
yeah,
right?
sure.
We know glutathione is probably one of they call it the mother of all antioxidants,
Hmm.
your scientific community.
Okay.
And it's produced in a bunch of different cells, liver cells, kidney, brain, whatever. We know that heavy metals, glutathione will actually kind of bond with and then eliminate those heavy metals, right?
Okay. Yeah, I don't know all the science of it, but I'll take your word for it.
I know, but I'm just giving you example of what people could learn if we just took a day
Sure.
of TV and had experts and everybody giving, because I don't know everything either.
Right.
What I'm saying is I can present this information to you, which I will just now. Let's say glutathione bonds with heavy metals, and we know there are heavy metals in certain vaccinations, and
Hmm.
then it expels them. But if it becomes overloaded, like if you're an infant, you don't have a lot,
Hmm.
or if you're a toddler, you don't have a lot, and then your system becomes overloaded, and then what happens, right?
Okay.
Well, physiological changes start to occur. Well, then the doctors will prescribe Tylenol, which is basically acetaminophen,
Yeah.
right? Acetaminophen, and that will actually create a barrier, or it'll stop GSH or glutathione from being produced.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
How
well,
many people that are pro on the pro vaccine side understand this?
probably none, because most of the people that I know that are pro-vaccines, they don't really know any really thing about it. They just know the doctors told them it was good. That was actually a very left brain breakdown of that. Let me come from the right. The way I disprove all the whole vaccine argument and everything is simple as this: human beings have been on this planet for very short period of time in comparison to essentially infinity or countless eons of time or whatever it is. I always say to them, it's like, so you mean to tell me nature had everything on lock? Like we were good for, nature had everything for, billions of years. And then all of a sudden, about what, 150, how long old are vaccines? 150 years old or something like that?
Not even.
Not even sure. I think it was around 150 years ago that they, like, with the vaccines, they started up, something like that. So we'll just say, so all of infinity was good up until about 150 years ago, where nature just fucked up and was just like, all right, guys, humanity, you need to step in. I can't take this anymore. You need to start vaccinating yourselves. To me, that sounds awfully insane. Like, why would that be? You know what I mean? All of a sudden, reality just fucked up, and it needs a human creature to step in and start vaccinating. That sounds like shit. I don't believe it.
Wow. I don't either, but I'm open to learning about it.
Yeah, like I said, it's possible. I also bring up to these people too that, like, maybe the vaccines themselves aren't bad or anything like that. But why would it be so crazy to think some shadowy government agency just, adds a little spice to the cocktail? That's never happened before. Like prohibition with them, like poisoning the alcohol, or the Gulf War babies, or the soldiers in Spain. That's never happened before. So why would it be so crazy to think maybe there is something to that with the vaccines and everything? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's funny you say that because a couple of weeks ago, and everybody took it like a personal statement. I wrote on there how many times does someone have to lie to you before you're like, well, you're not a friend anymore. I don't want you in my life. And everybody's like, well, what happened between you and Lynette, and is this personal? No, it was a question like, how many times does your government have to lie to you before you realize that it shouldn't be in your life anymore?
Right. Right, that's what I mean. At what point do people say, nah, I ain't going along with it anymore and I'm just going to do my own thing? That's the point. They get caught in lie after lie after lie, like the NSA spying thing. They were spying for how long? Like, oh, people just forget about it. Ah, well, it's just like, hey, aren't these people supposed to be working for us that take all of our money, that do all this type of stuff, and basically are destroying our families and our lives, bringing drugs into our country, like divvying them up? And at what point do we say, like, hey, maybe this whole thing's a lie, and maybe we should just pay attention to this and not behave the way they like, you know?
Well, it was Gary Webb that exposed that
Yeah,
CIA bringing crack cocaine into the hood,
right.
right?
I know all about that.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Suicide
Two
with two
shots to the
bullets.
back of the head, suicide.
Yeah, with two bullets, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Dumped in the river.
yeah, right.
It's just crazy to me that you can cite example after example after example after example to infinity of all the crooked shit that's taken place in just 50 years, and still it's like, no, that doesn't count, or I'm not listening to that, or I'm not going down that rabbit hole with you, or that's not true, or
Yeah,
we agree to disagree.
right. Yeah,
This
that's what.
isn't a tuna versus peanut butter sandwich thing, You can't have an opinion on I just don't get it.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think it has to do with the ego calcifying at like a young age. Supposedly, when like as you're growing, like that's why the church gets you at a very young age. They want you to repeat this, say this, then sing this song. Like for example, I have very little religious experience in my life. I've been to church a few times when I was younger, and I went to a summer camp when I was in maybe second grade, and I still could sing the song that they made us sing to a T,
Right.
no problem. And they do that on purpose because they get you believing things at a young age, and and like they do it the same way they would brainwash you in like the military or anything else. They make you repeat things again and again. Say this at this time. Do this. They get you into this or that part of the brain, and people just believe it. And when you come along and start being like, "Hey, you ever think that might be a lie?" They get really mad at you. I get people mad at me all the time. Luckily for me, I'm a bit of a jester, and I'm usually able to diffuse those situations by just being amusing or something like that. I don't like come off to people like a dick, like I walk to them like, I'm chock full of jokes and bullshit. So, luckily for me, it works out. But Yeah, people get pissed, man, really pissed. I'm sure there are people watching me right now that are pissed. Like, oh, Justin, you devil, you, oh no, questioning things again. You
I
know?
doubt it. There's only a handful of people.
No, right. I just mean in general. You know what I mean? Like in general, you know what I'm saying? Because like some of the videos I put got like thousands of views. You know, like when I did on Sports Fans, I got like over 3,000 views now. I'm sure I pissed off almost everyone that watched. But hey, someone's got to do it. You know.
Dolan, now I can play with my toys. Bill Burr.
Oh yeah,
You've seen Bill Burr's
man.
religious skit?
Um,
Repeat after me.
no, maybe I haven't seen it. He's actually one of the only.
Just let me go home so I can play with my toys.
Yeah, no, Bill Burr's great. He knows what it is. He got balls too. He be talking that shit on the Tonight Show. Like he doesn't go too far in, but he at least he gets into about like Hillary being a lizard and shit. I mean, who knows? But it's funny anyway. You know,
Oh, he knows what's going on.
I'm sure. You know, it's not part of the club or whatever it is. But yeah. You know, that's why, like I said, I just do my thing on the internet. I ain't selling out to these motherfuckers for shit. I'm just gonna talk that shit. You know?
It's funny to me too, like, and typically, again, it's people on the left, and I don't mean to criticize, but it's just the way it is,
Yeah.
that can't entertain the thought that your mind is a programmable instrument.
It absolutely. It's been proven over and over again too. I'm here. I'm just. Pardon me. Go ahead. I'm talking.
But I'm just saying, like, what? It's not.
Well, you have to understand.
I
Right. Hold on. The left is they're like more right brain people. They're more into the imagination type of shit. So these people they just want to believe whatever it is they want to believe. They're not really interested in facts, you know, and logic or anything like that. They're interested in just what they want to be true actually being true. You understand? And that's one of the reasons they like you just go with them with all the evidence you want. You know, like one of my buddies, like I've gone to him left and right about like 9/11 and stuff like that, but because he knows somebody that like died in the attack, he just doesn't want any part of it. It's just kind of like, well, wouldn't you want the truth and want to do something about that? And they don't. They just they want to feel bad and get butthurt and shit and get mad at people like me and you for being like, hey, I think they might be lying to us. Maybe we should do something about that. You know? Yeah, brother.
I do know. I'm just kind of wondering why you think that they can't entertain or learn.
Well, I think
I put it to you this way, dude. Put it to you this way.
yeah.
Think about it illogically. Pepsi would not spend $2.3 million on a 30-second Super Bowl commercial if marketing slash advertising slash brainwashing didn't work.
Totally right. That's critical thinking. Bingo. Wait a minute, 30 seconds for multi-millions of dollars? Clearly that has some type of effect on the human psyche, obviously, or they wouldn't do it. Common sense. That's critical thinking. That's being smart, you know?
So let's go into hive mind then and talk about get off political BS because it's just a waste of time anyway. Um, hive mind, artificial intelligence, and what 5G could do in terms of hooking us up into because realize that Mozart wrote a lot of his compositions note perfect the first time around, right?
I'm sorry, what perfect the first time around? I didn't catch that.
Mozart wrote a lot of his compositions note perfect the first time. I mean, just sat down, wrote music. Emerson said that he never wrote anything of his own volition. He pulled it down from the ether. I mean, all these great minds that we look up to talk about non-original thought, and that there's this thing out there that if you're tapped into, you can pretty much pull any information that you want to.
Bingo, dude, that's actually how I come up with every possible joke. I'll just be sitting there daydreaming, and I'm conscious enough to be like, wait a minute, that's ridiculous. And I'll just pull it, and that's the whole idea of the as above, so below thing. Like you see on like the Baphomet or like all sorts of, like ancient traditions and stuff. They use that. The idea of bringing divine knowledge into the physical realm. Yeah, Tesla talked all about that type of stuff too. And that's exactly where I come up with all of my jokes from. I wouldn't even take credit for thinking of them. I'll just be daydreaming. I'll be like, hey, wait a minute, and I'll just like, and then I'll have the idea, and I'll just sit there and write the joke around whatever punchline or whatever it was that I just thought. That's exactly, Yeah. I just
Well,
daydream. I don't even meditate. I'll just be daydreaming about some shit, and I'll come up with some shit. You know.
well, we have, I don't know if it's Project Stargate or whatever, but we had remote viewing in our military. Russia had remote viewing in theirs.
Hmm.
They would just go off in meditation and do what they did with their chants, and then, you know what I mean, go out to the ether, astral project themselves, and then find out secrets. I mean, this is
Yeah.
knowledge now. This is public knowledge. This isn't.
Yeah, no, exactly. See, that's the thing. My favorite, I can't wait. I hope it happens in our lifetime, but the UFO thing, I can't wait because like Edward Snowden exposed all these, like high government officials, be like messaging one another about UFOs and stuff. And if you just go up to somebody like on the street and you bring this up, they'd be like, "Whoa, man, you're really out there," and I'll just be like, "No, you're really in here," like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the problem. It's just kind of like, it's like, you know what it is? People want to be told what's true. They don't want to figure it out for themselves, which I'm very much all about. They want to be told, like, this is what's true, this is the way you think, because apparently it takes a lot of responsibility to do that. I don't think so. But again, like, I think that has a lot to do with the hive mind. Everyone's looking for a leader, which is the same reason, people like worship Donald Trump or worship Barack Obama. I don't give a fuck about any of these people, any of these Hollywood people. I don't give a shit. Fuck these people. They're meaningless. I'm not even gonna meet. Who cares? That's why I'm doing my own Hollywood thing right now. Oh yeah. But yeah, as far as that goes, I learned a bit about that too from like the Final Fantasy video game series. That's actually what magic is in that game series. It's called Ether, and they talk about all this type of stuff. I know that those games when they hammered the Catholic Church, the Sumerian tablets, all that type of stuff is all in those games. And like I said, I was picking up on this from a very young age in the games. I just didn't realize it actually had to do with real life, and it's a type of information they don't really want you looking into because it explains a lot more than you're supposed to know. You know. That's why a lot, or like something like the Matrix, it's just allegorical. You should check out Mark Passio's breakdown of the Matrix if you never did. It's great. It's like 3 hours long. He just explains all the movies, like this means this and this means that. How like Neo stands for like neocortex and all that type of shit. So it's
Right,
all in. If you just take a
right.
look into it, you know what I mean? But
It's a
yeah,
documentary.
yeah, absolutely, sure. That's why I didn't want anybody doing interviews about that movie either. Hey, what's this movie about? Hey guys, they would no
Somebody
no.
wrote a comment earlier about basically poisoning or dumbing down minds, and so you have,
Yeah,
the calcification of the pineal gland. I just look at this. Why don't they teach things that are really truly important?
because we're slaves and no one wants to admit that. You know what I'm saying? Like, see, that's the thing. I'm not even really interested in like trying to like soften it up for people anymore. We're just fucking slaves here. People need to start admitting to something to themselves. It's not like just like wallowing in alcohol all the time. And just start talking to your neighbor about, hey, why does life suck like this? Like, can't we do better than this? You know what I mean? Everyone I know is like hopped up on drugs or have like in countless millions of dollars of debt and something like this. Who are we all this time and money to? You know what I'm saying? A bunch of rich old white men that I've never met that who even knows space exists. Okay, maybe Bernie Sanders is a hologram. I don't really think that, but who knows? I don't know these people. I owe these people time out of my life. What? How is that? You know?
Something that I've said, and I get kind of, I don't know what the word. My mind's mush, man. It's been a long week. I've been busy, so I can't even think. But
Yeah, no, it's cool. I'll keep talking. I'm listening.
I'm people say I'm giving too much credit to humanity, but I look at it this way. If you give a child some responsibility, they do so with earnest and they want to produce and they want to do a good job and they feel happy when they do a good job.
Right.
And adults aren't any different. And if we lose our purpose, we lose our soul in the process. And for the life of me, I can't figure out why adults can't go, we just do deserve something better and we can do something better. And if we give responsibility and accountability back,
Yeah. Well, that's kind of why.
that that's going to breed more, and more positive things.
Right. No, I agree with you. Like that's kind of what I mean is like if people just rethought things and just did things differently, we wouldn't have to do this. People talk. I heard somebody bring up recently. In the future there's going to be like a 35-hour work week or something like that. Why is there like why are we forced to work a certain amount of time or you can't get by? Like that doesn't really seem to make any sense. And that's why I love that what comedian Steve Hughes said. He's just like, why do we go to work? Everything's already built. I mean, he's got a good point. Like, think about all the time and effort you billions upon billions of people. Virtually everyone goes to work every day, for the most part. Obviously, the people that are being indoctrinated are not in work yet, but they're going to be sent off to the workforce. How is it that, I mean, literally everyone is slaving away all the time, and yet somehow nothing improves? Nothing. Like, I think like 10 years ago, I got like a cool new iPhone or something that, like, whatever it does, nothing gets better. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. Think about it. If everyone is busting their ass working at something, why does nothing improve? Where's all that energy going? I don't get it. Clearly something is wrong here.
So where does that energy go? Because there's a great point, dude. We are electrical beings trapped in a physical body, spiritual being trapped in a physical body. It's all electricity.
Right.
It's all chemical and electrical synapses that are happening. So what is this about energy?
I think so.
Is it about harnessing energy?
Well, my friend Vinny, he recently started posting about this type of stuff too, and he said the same thing. It's about control. They're trying to control us. It's not about money. They can print all the money they want. They own the mints. They can do whatever they want. They want like the control of your soul, your energy, your essence. You know what I'm saying? From what I understand, like, it's been like this since the dawn of man, from the research that I've done. You know what I'm saying? Like, nothing's changed. They just euphemize it. They call it something else. And, and like I said, people just go along with it, which is why I always bring up George Carlin and how he nailed it in that stand-up we did about soft language. I always bring this up about how after the First World War, it's called shell shock, and the war after that, it was battle fatigue. He says he's like, and then they change it to operational exhaustion. He's like, sounds like something that might happen to your car. And then after that, they change it to post-traumatic stress disorder. And then he explains how, yeah, nobody got their money when they called it that, but when they called it this, people got their money, because words have a lot of power. So I forgot the point and the reason I just put that up, but please continue. It was a reason, I swear. It was a purpose. There is a purpose.
Well, I'm with you. I think that there isn't a single thought that I've had that's original. I don't trademark or copyright anything that I've thought, any music I've composed, any of it. I don't think it's mine.
Right.
I really don't.
I do the same thing with the jokes. Like anytime I think of something, I'll be like, thank you. You know what I mean? And then the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, comedians steal jokes all the time. I just fucking rush them out. I don't even care. Just, do what you want. I'm just going to keep spitting them out. I get a lot of shit. But yeah, I don't bother to fucking copyright or any of that type of stuff. You know what I mean? I know what you mean though. Like, yeah, it's like, I wouldn't even take credit for thinking of this shit. It just pops into my head because I'm daydreaming. And, I believe in that whole idea like Nikola Tesla brought up about how your brain's a receiver. I thought of that long, long before I ever heard anybody say or like read that he thought that or anything.
Yes.
It makes sense. If I'm just sitting there, all the stuff is going through my head. I'm not thinking about this type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? It just goes through. And then if you pay attention enough to that, I'm just kind of like I brought up before, I'm just like, oh yeah, that's kind of makes sense. And then,
I know exactly what you're saying. I can't tell you the number of times that I've said things to people and went, wait, what? Where did that come from? I have no idea whether or not that's true or not. And then you'll read 2 months later, 6 months later,
yeah,
all of a sudden I'll be reading through something and some published report, there it is right there. It's just like, what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah. See,
and so you know of The Secret,
the book,
right?
The
book and the blah blah blah.
I always just like to point out though, The Secret is not a very good secret. It was $1 million sellers, so that's not a very good secret.
Right.
All right,
But that's to keep people pacified because there's so much more to it.
Right. Yeah.
Like how many times have you been thinking about I should give this dude a call?
And then they call
and then your phone rings.
All the time.
That's what I'm saying. What is that?
Yeah. Well, are you familiar with Rupert Sheldrake?
I haven't read too much into him.
Okay, well, if you're not, definitely check him out. He's kind of amusing, which I always appreciate. And he actually wrote a book. I have one of them. I don't think it's not this book, but Morphic Resonance. But I'm pretty sure that's what he calls it. And he did a whole thing about psychic links with your dog. And he has a whole book explaining all these different experiments that they set up where, basically, like, how like when you're coming home, like your dog will know. you know what I'm talking about, right? Like the dog's waiting there at the door or the window. They
Yep.
get all these different examples of how, like, you know, he came home normal time one day. Then the next day he came home at like 10 o'clock in the morning. Then the next day he came home at 2 in the afternoon, but he came by a taxi cab. And they kept switching it up, and the dog knew like every time. So clearly that proves that there is some type of psychic link that actually exists. You know, the game series actually Metal Gear Solid, which I love bringing up, taps into that too with the famous villain Psycho Mantis. They bring that up all the time throughout the entire series. How there's like you know, a subtle, there's like subtle psychic links throughout the series. Like pretty much 90 to 95% of that series is actually strictly like realistic, physical, whatever. And then there's just like a little bit of this kind of like a supernatural or whatever you want to call it essence. But I think it's just science that they haven't really revealed to the public yet. You know?
Yeah, well, exactly. I'll share a little secret with you though about this whole thing.
Okay, shoot.
Is that once you're tapped in, you can call them whatever you want. I call them synchronicities,
Sure.
but they keep happening, and all of a sudden they'll pick up pace, and they'll be quicker and quicker and stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
But that's if you're paying attention to what you should be paying attention to. Then what happens is that life happens, and then all of a sudden you got to run your kids there, or your significant other's doing this, or something at your job, and all this stress, and all of a sudden it's just like it's gone.
Dude, yeah, spot on. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, life gets in the way from you just noticing these type of things. You want to hear a really good one that happened to me? I don't know, maybe like a month and a half, 2 months ago now. So anyway, so like I said, I'm a big George Carlin fan. You know, I love that dude. I'd seen an interview a long time ago where a lot of people thought he was an atheist, which I'm not an atheist either. I don't believe, you know, I don't believe there's an old man in the sky, but you know, I wouldn't even comprehend the understand that. I just, you know, whatever. But anyway, people would always accuse him of being an atheist, which he wasn't. And I'm sorry, and on that on an interview, he explains how, you know, he doesn't believe in God, but every once in a while there's like a pebble will hit his window and like let him know he's on the right track, right? So anyway, I was driving around and I was thinking about at that exact moment, right? I like looked up out of the daydream and I was passing Pebble Lane. It was the craziest thing, and I was like, "Holy
No
shit!"
way.
Swear to God, like right off East Rockaway Road over here. It was the craziest thing. I literally like almost shut like, "What the fuck? That was nuts." But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I actually used to write them down. They happened so often to me, and then I got annoyed having to write them down so much, so I stopped doing it.
It's tough because it gets to be a lot. It's almost an overload type situation. And what happens for me is I'm still an infant in this whole thing. I'm still learning.
Leola.
So it's like
Oh, yeah,
I can't
yeah, no, I'm good. Sorry.
I'm still learning, so I can't help but put it to you this way. It refocuses my attention on how absurd this life really is.
Yeah, it's pretty absurd.
You
That's
know what I mean?
about it.
Because once you have six, seven, eight of them in a day, you're like, it's a beautiful life, but man, it's fucked up.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
But I think that's supposed to like let you know that it's still beautiful. Don't tell anybody I said that though. I'm intentionally negative. I don't want to
I'm with you.
that I'm actually really a
I
negative.
get it.
Can't have that, you know. Got to stay strictly negative on Facebook. But yeah, no, I know what you mean. I don't think I've ever had 8 in a day. That's pretty fucking crazy. But yeah, man, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's really interesting. But if you're not familiar with Rupert Sheldrake, man, he gets into that a lot. You should check him out. He's got some really interesting interviews and stuff, and it's pretty fascinating. And like I said, he's not boring like a lot of these, you know, like kind of scientist people are. Or at least I don't find him boring.
How about Joe Dispenza? You ever heard of that guy?
I feel like I might have heard the name, but go ahead, like refresh my mind. Again, like I'm, you know, there's only so much time.
Well, I don't know his story intimately, but it goes on. He was an avid cyclist and runner, blah, blah, blah. He was doing whatever, a tour, got T-boned by a truck. Doctor said he'd never walk again, blah, blah, blah. So he basically laid on his stomach for 6, 8, 10 months and basically got his mind, his third eye, basically, right? Focused and attention driven to him walking again. And now he's walking and but he's into that stuff too, into teaching how to becoming supernatural, I think was one of his last books, right?
Really?
And teaching people,
Not bad.
and I'm about halfway through. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But it's just like, when do you have time to practice this stuff? know what I mean? When do you have time to
You
really
sound like,
focus
yeah,
on
sound
your
like,
own life?
sorry. I'm sorry, continue. I was making a
No,
sarcastic
I'm just saying, like, when do you have time to really truly focus? I mean, we could do it now. We could shut this off and go focus on our own life. I'm just saying, but
I go
I
for,
think there is something to this. I think that these authors, I don't think they're blowing smoke, and I don't think they're trying to get sales because there's something real to it.
sure. You kind of know, like you mentioned, like The Secret, like that's someone that's just trying to make money, yeah. But again, it doesn't, it leaves out a lot of important things. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like that new age nonsense type stuff where, like nothing matters or whatever it is, or don't do anything to change anything. Why would that be? You know what I mean? Like it's the same idea that people think they're just here to be happy. Why would existence exist? Create you just so you would be happy. Why would that be? Like to me, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. You know what I'm saying? So
No,
yeah, what was that? I'm sorry. Did you say
I
something?
just agree. No,
Oh, my bad. I didn't hear you. Yeah, like I said, to me, it just doesn't really, does a lot of things don't really add up. And I think like they intentionally the mainstream popularizes things like that to kind of get people off the path of like real knowledge and enlightenment or whatever you want to call it. I don't really like those terms, but hey, um, I like being honest or whatever you call it. But anyway, yeah, as far as like the book Supernatural, I want to check that out. But yeah, I definitely believe there's something to that. I think it has a lot to do with you and the way you view reality. Which is like take like Catholic people, they're very strict and they're very like militant and everything like that. And I don't think they have experiences like that because of the way they view everything. I think it has to do like I don't know what to believe. I don't. People ask me like, "Well, what do you believe?" I don't have a belief system. I never did. I just kind of go with whatever makes a lot of sense and I'm honest with myself about what makes sense. Like the first time I saw like the 9/11 video, I'm like, yeah, that's probably true. There's quite a bit of evidence there. It makes a lot of sense. You know what I'm saying? I can't prove it, but like just looking at these things yourself and be honest with yourself is the key thing. You know?
sure. So, being we're going to be honest with ourselves, we are creators.
Right.
We can manifest certain things within our life because we can have the decision. We make decisions to do this or do that. So think about it this way: 5 seconds, 5 minutes, five hours, 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, 5 years. It doesn't exist yet,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, I mean, again, time is just a construct that we make up. It's just always now, as far as I'm concerned.
Sure, but here's the thing. 7 healthy habits of highly effective people. One of the things in there is to always begin with the end in mind. I believe it's rule number one. Always begin with the end in mind. If you're going to be successful or creative or whatever, you have to have your end goal in mind. So if 5 years doesn't exist yet, but we're all going to move towards that end. Well, whose end is it?
Right, right. Just so you know, I got 20% battery. It's getting low, so it might cut off soon. But yeah, no, yeah, that's something I actually need to work on myself because, like the Joker said, I just do things. Like I don't really specifically have like a set goal. I'm just trying to get people to stop believing in bullshit. You know what I mean? Like anytime I see any type of bullshit or some blatant lie or propaganda, I'll just be like, yeah, that's totally a lie. I don't believe that at all. But even like with like the comedy thing, like I don't even have these goals of being this like famous comedian or anything. I just write jokes for the sport of writing them, and it helps me battle depression. So that's another reason I do it too. You
I'm
know.
not saying necessarily that you have to have a goal or that what I'm saying is we collectively on this rock as human, as Homo sapien, as our own, as people, 7 billion of us,
Mhm.
this whole thing is moving towards something. It's not just chaos. It's not just willy-nilly appearing every day, every second.
Right,
There are people who are moving this thing.
right. And
You
what's
following what I'm
the
saying?
goal? Yeah, no, I like I mentioned before. I think the people in charge. I think their goal is to enslave all of us. I really believe that. I'm not, like blowing smoke up anyone's ass or anything. I really think that. I think their goal is to basically get us back down to an almost like beast style level and control us into doing what they want, so they can live prosperous. I don't. Again, I'm not one of these people. I don't know what they have in mind specifically. But when I look around and I look at what's going on in the world, it just seems to me that like they're just trying to enslave us slowly but surely. All the prices are going up. There's more people in jail now than ever. It's harder to get jobs, And again, like, what are the chances? Are these people just fucking up over and over and over again? Like you mentioned before, it's like, well, wait a minute. Like, oh shit, I lost my train of thought. But what was it you brought up before about oh shit, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. I was rambling. I'm sorry.
The only thing I said was there's goals, and I'm trying to get people to open their mind and think about whose goals are these, and are we living the lives that we really truly want to live?
No, definitely not. Absolutely not. Which is why I have a problem. You know, like I said, growing up, my father worked like 70 something hours a week. My mother worked 2, even 3 jobs at points. And I don't have any brothers or sisters. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and I didn't live in this like big house or anything. It's just like, well, what is all this for? Who are we doing all this for? Just to get by? Just to have electricity? You know? And again, you start bringing these things up to people, and they get mad at you. Well, that's just how things are. Like, that's a fucking answer or something like that. It's like, I know that's how it's are. Why are things like this? Why am I the only person I know that asks questions like this? You know?
That's a parent to a 3-year-old answer.
Right. That's what I mean. There's no thought to it. I mean, I can't really give you an answer what this is all headed towards. You know, but like I said, it seems to me that, like, you know, the main goal of the ruling elite that from all over the planet is to get humanity. They have us sectioned off into these pig pens. You know, like I always tell people, which is a very unpopular opinion, there's no such thing as different countries. There isn't. You know what I mean? Like, Donald Trump is currently in charge of this pig pen. The people in Europe, they have that pig pen. And they just keep us fighting with one another. It's one big. Like Jesse Ventura nailed it. He nailed it when he said, you know, what's called the political world is just like pro wrestling. You know, on camera, everyone's fighting with each other. Oh, Putin did this, or Obama did that. You know, oh my God. But behind the scenes, they're all buying each other steaks. Sorry, vegans. But, you know, it's just the point. You know what I'm saying? Like, clearly, this is obvious at this point. And like I brought up before, that whole point about, like, what are the chances that every time people voted, it got worse and worse every time? Does anybody really think that's an accident? I don't. I refuse to believe that. I'd love someone to debate me about that. You know?
And that's why I say we need to push for 1 day a week. Some private organization gets to pick a topic, and people get to present information from both sides, and then we all get to learn and grow.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Stop with the entertainment. We're too entertained the way it is.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Plus, people
just 1 day we don't need to be entertained.
Yeah. I'm trying to be my own entertainment. But the Great Work Network is coming out soon, and that's supposed to be a big platform for you know, basically people like me or you who are trying to, like, you know, put people on information and knowledge and not buy into all this type of bullshit. So I know that's in the works and everything. So that's something to look forward to. I'm sure, you know.
What is it?
The Great Work Network from whatonearthishappening.com. Mark Passio is putting it together now. I don't know if you saw any of the videos that he's making, but he's making his.
Mark's doing that?
Yeah. Check out his page. He put up a video to it.
Nice.
Yeah. It's from what I understand, it's basically supposed to, like, kind of take over where InfoWars like dropped off, and you know, but not get as extreme and ridiculous, I guess, as Alex Jones has in the past or whatnot. But I think, like, anybody for the most part can, like, kind of put their information on it or something. Again, I don't have all the details, but from what I gathered from heard of it, that's supposedly what it is. So, like I said, you know, we get to work on that. I know I'll be. You know what I'm saying? So, you know,
that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I guess my phone's about to kick out or whatever. I think you want to just wrap it up here, and, you know, we'll do another one in the near future. Hopefully.
Yeah, we'll do another one in another month or so.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah. Just stay on me about it. Like I said, I love talking to you and everything. I just have really, really bad sleeping problems. You know, it's every time I go to sleep, it's like that Mighty Boss Tones song, like you know, I'm trying to sleep. I'm like, oh God, this is terrible. So yeah, man. I guess I'm sorry.
We'll get into that next time. Why you can't sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good. All right, man. So Pat, you have a great night. Thanks everyone for watching, and talk to you soon. Take care.
Take care.